Brother. So hi everyone, my name is Johan Clovis. I am a neuroscientist by training, and I've been helping companies grow from startup to scale up, and I've also worked with some Fortune 500 companies launching products. And so I'm here today to help you tailor your story so that people can actually understand where you're coming from, and you can compel them to take the action that you want them to take. So just so I understand who is in the room, how many of you are currently pitching or are going to be pitching investors in the near future? Okay. If you guys don't mind sharing, like, what is the main issue in terms of communication that you've been facing or that you worry about? Yes, go ahead.
I get anxious and choke a lot.
I see. Okay. Anybody else? Go ahead, Chris.
I'm doing a product that's in a new product space, and I constantly find people have their expectations of what this does, and it totally misleads them when trying to understand my product. I have to overcome this educational bias.
I see. How do you do that?
Well, rather clumsily at this point, I think. I tried to explain, like, no, it's not like that.
I see.
But I have to find, like, an average of 3 times I have to circle back because their minds are still going to, this has to be done the way I've always seen it done.
Gotcha, because they have previous information in their head.
Yes.
And so you have to kind of overcome that.
It's difficult for them to see that there's another way to do the same thing.
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
I would say my challenge is with storytelling right now, because we had so I'm working on a startup, we had a market that we're going after. It had an amazing story. Now we're not going after that market. We pivoted and we're doing something else that's like a little less sexy. And so, like, I lost my good story. So how do I create a story out of this?
Gotcha. Okay. Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
As I'm building my pitch deck, I'm realizing it's really hard to cut away some of the things that are really important that I believe people need to know, because there's so much that my product and system can do.
So you want to focus on basically the features, and you want to show them all the things that can happen with that product.
Yeah, and how to prioritize to keep things simple in my pitch deck.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. And then last question is, and then there are some investors in the room, I believe, but don't be afraid of raising your hands. Who started at least with the assumption that investors are mostly like heartless wallets? They don't care. They just want their money back. Because I've heard that. I've heard some companies who told me that investors don't care. So who at least has heard that before, or maybe thought it? Okay. Great. So newsflash, investors actually care a lot. Some of them are going to be more, involved and want their ROI more than anything. But the ones that I've talked to, they want to invest in something they care about. Most of the time, especially if you talk to angel investors, they're giving you some of their savings, right? And so you want to compel them. You want them to feel like they have to. Like, this is so important that, of course they want to give you a chance, that of course they want to support you because you're doing something great. So that's why I named this Talk Human to me. Is like, you really have to put yourself in the mind of the people you're talking to. They are people, no matter what. And so we want to leverage different aspects of what is called neuromarketing to simplify your messaging. And so I've talked to founders, and I've assisted I've been there for some pitches, and often, especially for first-time founders, what I see happening is that they immediately jump into all of the things that they feel makes their tech great. It's AI, it's faster, it's greater, it's, this never been done before. And they jump into it without earning it. Because they love what they're doing, right? But the thing is, this is the last thing you want to see. This is terrible. This is very disheartening. And even if you don't see it, that might be what is happening underneath. So how are we going to avoid this? The other thing is, what I'm going to tell you is something that you're going to need to keep with you throughout the life cycle of your company. So go-to-market at the end of the day is the goal. You need to define your target market. You need to craft a value proposition that actually hits the mark. You need a good product positioning, right? How are you different from your competitors? Why should they choose you? Plan your distribution. Where do they hang out? And then map the customer journey. How are they going to experience you all the way to the end, right? And who can tell me what the commonality is for all those steps? You need to know who you're talking to. You need to understand who you're talking to. The thing is, I started my journey in biotech outside of academia as a salesperson, and I kept repeating to the team, we are not selling to ourselves, right? We love it. We know it's great. We love that feature. Do people care? What are they caring about, right? It's faster, but do they prefer that it's more accurate? And so that's really important to understand throughout all this, and always test your assumptions. If you don't have the means to do market research, that's okay. Have good assumptions, talk to people around, and then when you can, just test it. And always, like, this is a moving target, but you need to really keep them in mind first. So what is neuromarketing? Neuromarketing is really just where neuroscience meets marketing/communication, right? So I started there. I've been there for a while, and now I'm kind of in the middle. And there are like 6 rules of brain-friendly communication. And before, not too long ago, neuromarketing had this idea, was from this idea that you had the reptilian brain, the mammalian brain, and then like the evolved brain, and that those are separate, right? And to a certain extent, it works, but we know now that everything is way more complex than that, right? But you're gonna see a little lizard every once in a while to remind you that at the end of the day, you wanna really reach out to the deep feeling of the people you're talking to. So in order to remember, just remember the acronym INVEST. The first one is intro, outro, impact, right? Start strong and stronger. That's what people remember. I think it's George Lucas who said, you know, a good movie is a strong start, a great finish, and don't screw up in the middle, right? That's just, like, that's what people remember. And if the end is positive, they will feel positively about what you've been saying. 2 is need driven. What is in it for them? Not for you, not what you think, for them. And so you had an idea. Sometimes a company started with a tech. It's great, let's just put it to market. Sometimes it started with a need. Regardless, go back to the need. What is it that it solves? And we're gonna get through that a little bit better. Visual. Use imagery as much as possible. Use relatable imagery. It helps people understand. It helps with this like mirror neurons. I see it. It's almost like I'm experiencing it myself. So I'm in there with you. I can feel and I remember. You have to evoke emotions, right? So that brain, that part of your brain is emotional. You need to trigger feelings. Ideally, do that from the get-go. You wanted to create your company for a reason. Maybe you left your job. You put everything you had into it. Why? You had a reason. Bring the investors with you on this. Like, get them to where you were when you're like, somebody needs to do something about this. And that's why I'm here. Surprise stakes, right? Basically, you want to create tension or contrast in what you're saying. Compare things before, after, black, white, good, bad. The brain loves that, right? And it makes the difference is obvious. People want to know what is the change that you're going to be enabling. And then you have to make it tangible as much as possible. Do you have props, for example? If you were selling a product, can they touch it? Can they feel it? Can they play with it? Make abstract concept concrete as much as possible. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. Any questions so far? Okay, so this is just an example of an ad that kind of takes into most of those concepts into account. So of the ones that I was talking about, and they're also on the flyers that you have in there, which ones do you think are being used here? Anyone wants to try?
Emotion.
Emotion, yeah.
Stakes.
Mm-hmm.
Surprising. Visual.
Surprising, it's visual, yeah. It's also a tangible concept, right? How strong can a kid's bone get exactly, right? It's in one image, immediately I want to look at it more, I want to understand, and it makes sense. It's surprising. Here's another one that could be a great ad for travel. Why? Especially if you tend to have hairy legs.
I take up hairy.
But that's the thing, I wouldn't. For many reasons, but here's the thing. The point of view, I'm the person in the canoe. I'm there, I'm almost feel it. I want this, right? I can almost feel the sun on my skin, right? Visual, emotional, tangible concept. Okay, so why do we care? Well, if they don't feel it, if they can't visualize it, when you're talking to them, they're trying to figure out how is that gonna work. And if they can compare it to something, they won't care. You're losing them. So instead of just giving you a lecture, I wanted to give you an example. So let's take a company, we'll call it NestSight AI. Can you try to pronounce that for me, please?
NestSight?
Yeah, NestSight AI. So here's the thing, we're gonna stop right there and talk about naming your product and your company. Everybody knows you have to check for IP. Maybe people wanna sound a little clever, they wanna make sure that it evokes what the product is or what the features are. And most people forget about other things that are just as important. Oral, right? It has to be easy and even pleasant to pronounce. It has to be pleasant to hear, right? Language. If you're gonna go global, make sure that it's not gonna be offensive or confusing in other countries. Make sure that they can pronounce it as well. Check the Urban Dictionary. You never know. That's a step. That's a step. I'm not hip, and so it's always good to just have a look. Check TikTok if you have to, but make sure you're not gonna be a meme the moment you launch. Be memorable. So can people recall your name? If you give them a name, a list of 10 made-up names, and you ask them to give you the top 3, can they recall yours? Yeah. Yes.
Can I sound out the obvious mistakes with that name?
Go ahead.
If I told you, oh, just go to NestSight AI, how are you going to spell that?
Exactly.
NEXTSITE?
Yeah. So now you have to have a pretty solid SEO for this that compares all of the potential misspelling of that so that people can find you, right? Until you have a very good brand equity that everybody has seen your name before. So that's a great point as well. And then as a bonus, if it can be moving in one way, evoke a feeling that you want, a positive feeling, then that's great. That's a bit harder to do. But that's always a good thing. However, I just wanted to say, a lot of people spend a lot of time on the name. That is not the most important thing, and you can change it. Until, to a certain extent, you can change it. So, don't spend too much time, but just also don't make those mistakes. Okay, so if I ask the CEO of NestSight AI, what do you do? Typically, what I'm going to hear is something like that. We use AI to collect biometric data and analyze growth trends in pediatric populations. Who can tell me what that company does?
Measure babies.
Measure babies. What else? Do you feel like it? What is it? Is it an app? Is it? Yeah.
Research, maybe?
Right. Yeah. And would you be able, if somebody asked you, what's NestSight AI, would you be able to regurgitate that? No. We use AI. We start with the thing that we're excited about, that we think people are going to be excited about. The thing is, AI, it evokes feelings, not always positive. And I can guarantee you that investors at this time, they've heard AI a lot, right? And so you might be in front of investors are going to be like, again, is it a wrapper? Is it important? What data do you use? Now they want to know more about that. So now they're already skeptical, maybe. Collect biometric data. Yes, I wear wearables, for example. If I think about it, I know what biometric data is, but I never use those words. Mm-hmm. Who does, right? Same thing for growth trends. Now I have to think about it. Maybe I see a graph. I'm not sure. And then pediatric population. Just say babies, man. You know what I mean? It's just, why? So if we think about our audience and their reptilian brain, right? Here's another way you can talk about your company. Here you can open. We empower pediatricians and parents. Now I know who this for. I already have a picture of who that could be for. To catch growth issues early. This is the problem, right? Before they become problems. how much easier is it to understand, visualize? Maybe you already know who you should talk to about this, right? This is the difference between talking about your product's features and talking about what it is that you enable. What difference are you making? What do people care about? Who is it for, right? I need to be able to visualize all that. So that's great. That's the destination. How do you do that? That's a lot of work. There's a lot of different items that goes into what we call brand strategy, which is how do you talk about your company. One of the most important ones is the positioning. It's also a very hard thing to do. Most of the founders that I talk to have not done that exercise or have done it poorly or too fast, right? So one positioning statement for Nestside AI could be, well, it's for anyone taking care of a child who wants advanced biometric processing capabilities. And so what we do is that our product is a pediatrics analytics engine that detects percentile deviations. I don't even want to read this, right? I don't know what this is, right? But what we really want to do is highlight, like, why isn't this working, right? First of all, they say it's for anyone. No product is for anyone and everyone. You've heard that before. If you market to everybody, you market to nobody. So decide on your primary and maybe secondary audience. Really think about this and identify them. Who are they? And then taking care of a child. Is it a baby? Is it a toddler? We're not sure. Maybe it doesn't matter. They want what I have to offer. I see that all the time. I ask them to fill that in. It's like, well, they want my stuff, right? So I'm just going to copy paste what I do here because that's what they want. Our product is like this huge thing. It's an engine. I don't know what an engine is. It's just me. I'm not sure. And then detects percentile deviation, blah, blah, blah. Outdating manual systems. So this what you need to know is what are they doing right now? If it's a real problem, they're doing something about it. You should know what that is. It might just be they have an Excel sheet. It might just be that it's posted on their wall. Whatever it is, you need to know that. And you have to be honest about the other alternatives, your competitors, right? They are out there, right? And so, the perceived alternatives, you might say, well, nobody is doing what we do, therefore we have no competitor. That's not true. So what will people perceive to be the alternative? And really think about this. And then what our products do, it leverages AI to streamline, blah, blah, blah. Here's another way to do it. It's for parents and pediatricians, right? And you could even say for parents and pediatricians taking care of babies from 0 to 12 months old. It's way easier to understand. They worry about missing early sign of developmental issues. It's a real problem. They sit up at night thinking about this. What we do is that we have this AI-powered platform that monitors. It monitors because they worry, they don't want to miss. So this links to that, right? It continuously tracks milestone. Again, they don't want to miss it, so it tracks. Flags concern, they're worried, so it flags, right? Unlike traditional growth charts, manual data gathering, and incomplete apps, and you can kind of talk about what you mean by incomplete, right? Our product, we provide proactive. They worry, they don't want to miss. It's proactive. Data-driven alert, real time, so nothing gets missed. Do you see the difference here? Right? This seems simple. It takes a lot of time. And you should do that. If you have a team, you should definitely do that with your team. Because you'll find that you might disagree on who that is, what you're doing, why it matters. So get on the same page for that. I see that all the time. I give a worksheet to my clients, and then I give them individually. It's anonymized. I say this. I tell them, do it on your own, send that to me. And often I find that maybe the founder, the co-founder, at some point, they deviated from what they thought they were doing. We're on platform. No, not really. We're an app. Oh, we're doing this. Well, no, that's not really our primary audience. Really, we're talking to those people. You should figure that out before you talk to investors, right? And really show them that you understand your audience. Questions, emotional outburst, anything? Yes.
I have like a medical-ish product
Yeah.
that I'm trying to keep out. We don't have to do, it doesn't require FDA approval.
Yeah.
So I think to me it's tricky making a claim versus providing a real context and what it can help with. So maybe it's like a more granular thing than what this is talking about. But if I say, oh, it provides pain relief, I can't necessarily say that. I can say, oh, it's soothing.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah.
So how to, yeah.
So like in terms of regulatory, what you can and cannot say, yes. So that's something that is especially, I would say, for medical products, you always, it adds a layer of difficulty because there's the thing that you know it does, but you're not allowed to do that. And so as a brand strategist, what I used to do is that we start by being bold, and then we give it to the legal team, and we see what they say, right? Like start high, and then they'll be like, you can't say this. Can I say that or that, right? Like just start, test the limits.
For a startup, paying legal fee, but I'm sure you understand, like,
Yeah.
who do you want to pay for my attorney hours, right?
Yeah, but you might be able to talk to people who are in regulatory affairs and get an appointment and just pressure test. Like, can I say this?
Right.
Like, what do you think, right? Because you have a legal team or you have people at least that you can call, right? So see if you can get them to have a look at the very least.
Okay.
And then have an alternative, like have a bold one and then one that is a bit more tame and see, if the first one passes, otherwise you use the second one. Any other question? Awesome. All right, so here's an example here. Again, we're not gonna read that, but it's too complex. Like if a clinician asks you what is it that you're gonna do, what you want to say that we help you. They're talking to them, you, the reptilian brain, your brain loves that. This, when I say you, immediately you pay attention. We help you catch growth issue early, real-time insights. And here's the thing, fits directly into your existing workflow. If you're gonna ask people to change the way they do things, you need to know that, and you need to figure out how you're gonna convince them to do that. And if they're gonna feel like it's worth it, because now you better have an excellent product, something that they can't live without. Because even if it's great, if the pain or the perceived pain of changing their process is greater, they're not gonna buy it. Adoption is a real conversation that is had a lot with investors. Like, it's great, but like people are never gonna pay for this. It's too much. You're asking them to do too much. You're asking them to build another facility somewhere. They're not gonna do that, right? So really think again about who it is, like how they work. Maybe go to their workplace, see what the workflow is. In your deck, just lay it out. What is the workflow? Where do we fit? And before and after. Like how does that change for them? And then, as much as possible, show the experience. So this is good. You show them what the alert will look like. Who can tell me what could be better in terms of visual? For example.
Less text.
Less text. Okay.
A person getting the alert.
Yeah. They can see themselves using it. Now they're experiencing it. Mirror neurons, right? Better. For parents, you'll get alerts. You're worrying you're gonna miss it. No, it's okay. We start there. You'll get alerts, right? You can act early, so you can sleep. You're not missing anything, and therefore you can feel confident. They're on track. You're good. Same thing here, you could have a screenshot on an iPhone, or you can have a mom worrying, looking at the phone. Completely different. Investors. So, you can say like, support EHR interoperability, sounds super smart, leverage real-time biometric inputs, 94%, such a high number, anomaly detection, awesome. And what do they care about? Again, right? We're building the category defining. This is gonna be a huge thing. We're gonna change the way things are done. For this particular thing, we're already delivering 94%. We're on track, we're doing things. Like you're coming in, we have traction. And we're gaining more traction with clinics. And how do I know that? Because we've got 10 letters of intent, and this person who is the head of pediatrics in this particular hospital, maybe you can't say this which hospital, but you can say you were talking to that person. And they said, this could be a game changer. Where can I sign up? Immediately I was like, oh, okay, yeah, no, you know what you're doing. You've been talking to people, and they really want this. Yes?
category defining kind of like industry leader or household name? Is that?
It could be that you're like redefining what the gold standard of something would be, you know, like what is it? And if it's not that sexy, figure out like another way, like what it is that makes you compelling to investors, right? Any other question? I'm checking out. Okay. Okay. So if you want attention, just start with a story, right? Ideally, you're making your audience the hero as much as possible, because when you tell someone a story, they identify with the hero. They feel like they're in there with them. They have the emotions associated with the hero, right? That's why those questionnaires are like, well, which house are you, or like which Kardashian are you? Like you want to identify with something, right? And when you identify, when you put something in a story, it's easily recalled, right? And so therefore it seems more likely, still seems more believable. Our brains are really wired to prioritize the narrative, right? And then we bookend things. So again, start strong and positive. So here's an example for Nestside AI, right? This is Sonia. It's 2 a.m. She's barefoot in her kitchen. She's holding Sarah. Sarah is 7 months old. And Sonia, she's a first-time mom, and she doesn't know what's going on, but she feels like Sarah should be sitting, and she's not. That's a problem. So she's on Reddit. It's not a good sign. That's not great. It's not a good start. But she's been Googling. She's tired. She's overwhelmed. She's talked to her doctor, and they said, well, maybe let's wait and see. She doesn't want to wait and see. That's her baby, right? So what are we going to do? But she finds Nestside AI and she downloads it, right? And she got the alert that she was right. Something is amiss. Let's just talk to a doctor, right? And so they have a conversation. They put Sarah on a medication. And guess what? It gets better. So now Sonia can focus on being a mom. She sleeps at night. She can enjoy her baby. She's got this. She's confident because we've got her. We've got you. Right? We support you. So that's like a small, and you know, she doesn't exist. She's like an archetype of who Nestside AI wants to talk to. So even if you don't have a case study, you can always kind of create show the transformation that you want to enable. Any comment on that? Okay. So yeah, you've heard that before. Show, don't tell. You're going to tell them a lot of things. This type of slides, avoid. It's just text. It's not interesting. I had a couple of, color here and there, but like I should, show as much as possible. Yes.
Just a question on the last one and kind of this one.
Yeah.
You always want to start off with like a story that takes the journey into like the trouble problem space, so that you can build it up to the solution that you're providing.
I would say yes. Definitely start with the problem at the very least. Why should they care? Like, why are we here in the first place? Why did you start a company? How big of a problem is it? How painful is it, right? Because then you bring them in with you and like, oh my God, like, are you kidding? Is that true? What are we doing about this? And you're like, don't worry about it. I got you. Actually, we have a great product. And it fits exactly all those pains. Look at us, right? How much do you want to invest? So really want to, it's a brain shortcut to convincing and understanding, right? We want to activate this emotion so that they can have the memory, like they can remember what you're talking about, what you care, and then make a decision more easily. So you don't just explain, you really make them feel what matters right now. That's another thing too, is that one of your slides, or at least you should talk about why you, like what makes you particularly adept for that, why now? Like why is now a good moment for them to invest in this product that you're making? So how do we go from this to this? Well, you have this like framework here, so you can always kind of remember it. In the back, there is the positioning statement framework, so have a look at it and try it with your product. But if you don't remember the investing, at least remember this, right? Reframe complexity into clarity. Can you be clearer? Translate, not features, outcomes, benefits. What is the difference in their lives after they use your product? And then tell stories. Like instead of them having to read your slide to understand, like make them experience what you're trying to say. And so this is just an extra slide that I put together like very quickly. So it might not be 100%, but this is an exercise that you should do, right? Put yourself in the shoes of the investors or your clients, whoever it is that you want to talk to. What do they care about? Is the market opportunity clear, right? The timing, the growth rate. Everybody usually has that slide, right? But what is your strategic positioning? Why you? Why now? Is what I was saying earlier. Do you have traction? Is there proof that you're actually solving a real pain point here? Vision. How big can this get, right? And what will it take? Another thing too is that like, is there a bigger player that can eat you up the moment you get successful? You need to know that, and you need to know what you want to do about it. And then emotional layer, belief in your mission and team. You want them to get them on board with you, right? And that's where your team comes in. So yeah, let me know. You can always reach out to me if you have any questions, and I'll take questions now too.
Just go back to the slide on the invest framework.